The villa and the surrounding area were extremely quiet. Even if you listened carefully, you would only hear the whistling wind outside the windows and moans. Inside a spacious and luxurious master bedroom, the apricot curtains billowed upwards as the autumn wind blew in through an open French window. The moonlight spilled through the window and onto the marble floor. It looked as if the floor was covered in silver frost. In the middle of the room, there was a big bed. The expensive, top-quality silk sheets were disheveled. They barely hid the man's lower half. The man's strong back muscles and bronze skin was exposed underneath the moonlight. A groan inadvertently came out of his lips. It was like sinking into sweet honey. Another moan escaped. Emotions had reached the deepest place. Gratification came quick. Zhen subconsciously clutched the man's wide and strong back. The uninhibited pleasurable activity came to a climax. The man lied down next to Zhen. His strong arms forcefully pulled her into his embrace. Zhen seemed like a satiated fox. She languidly shifted to nestle comfortably in the man's arms. Feeling quite pleasant, her closed eyes started to drift open. When she sleepily opened her eyes all the way, a pair of brooding, deep eyes captured her full attention. Zhen abruptly jolted awake from her dream. She blankly looked around. The French window was closed. The sunlight shined through the window and passed through the apricot curtains to brightly illuminate the room. She placed her hand over her wildly beating heart. As she slowly sat up, the straps to her white silk nightgown slid down her shoulders. Her cheeks slightly heated up as she looked at the man lying by her side. He still hadn't woken up from his coma, but she felt as if she was still asleep and had remained in that uninhibited and carefree dreamland. In the dream, he had looked at her with such a deep, penetrating gaze. It was as if she was looking into bottomless pools of spring water. Zhen's attractive eyebrows slightly scrunched up. Pushing the quilt to the side, she took a look. There was nothing wrong with her white nightgown. Other than feeling uncomfortable because her body was sweaty, everything else was fine. Zhen couldn't be blamed for overreacting. That dream had felt too real. Moreover, this wasn't the first time she had this dream. Although she was young and had a youth's desires and hopes, wasn't it too ridiculous to have those types of thoughts for a man that had been unconscious for a year? Since she had transmigrated to this world and became the wife of the man lying on the pillow next to hers, she would have this type of dream every now and then. That's right, she had transmigrated. After Zhen went to sleep one night, she woke up and found herself lying next to the comatose Liu Beichuan. She had become his wife. After 1 month of observations, Zhen had to admit that she had transmigrated to the novel, Newlywed, Misplaced Kindness. In this novel, Qing and Zhen were identical twins. Although they had the same appearance, their personalities were different. The older sister was a warm and generous person. From childhood to adulthood, she has always been her parents' pride and joy. Other parents wished their children could be like her. With such an outstanding older sister as her foil, the younger sister's mediocrity was magnified to a countless degree. Zhen started to blame the gods and other people. She felt aggrieved over the unfair treatment and her bitter experiences. Resentment took root in her heart. When her parents used her to replace her sister in the marriage to Liu Beichuan, she took her first step down the path of ruin. In the novel, Liu Beichuan was a villain. After he was injured by a meticulously planned car accident, he fell into a coma for a year. During this 1 year, Liu Beichuan's grandfather, Old Master Liu, obtained a wise person's guidance. The wise person said that as long as he married his grandson to Ye family's oldest daughter, it would bring his grandson good luck, and his grandson would definitely recover from this accident. Zhen's father was a useless second-generation son. Once the Ye family's wealth was passed down to him, it was on its way to being utterly wasted down to nothing. He was selfish and loved to gamble. After Old Master Liu promised that he would help the Ye family's debt-ridden company if Qing married his grandson, the Ye family prepared to marry off Zhen's older sister, Qing, without reservations. However, Qing had already fallen deeply in love with the male lead. Once she heard about her parents' arrangement for her, she resolutely ran off with the male lead. She abandoned her life as a daughter from a wealthy family to live an arduous life with a poor young man that had an unblemished integrity. Although the older sister was gone, the younger sister was still here. Anyways, these sisters looked identical. Even their parents couldn't tell them apart, much less members of Lu family. And so the Ye family married Ye Zhen over without any qualms. The transmigrated Ye Zhen didn't have a problem being married to a comatose person. But 1 year after Liu Beichuan fell unconscious, which was to say that in 1 month from now he would wake up. Perhaps it was because he had experienced 1 year of being a comatose person. In the novel, after Liu Beichuan woke up, his personality drastically changed. He dealt with people using unconscionable methods. He treated his wife with contempt. Under the workings of fate, he eventually met Ye Zhen's warm and generous older sister and found out the Ye sisters had switched places. When he compared the inarticulate and mediocre younger sister to her skillful and efficient older sister, Liu Beichuan felt cheated. And when Liu Beichuan found out that the male lead was his half-brother, they had the same father, but different mothers, he went down the villain's path of trying to seize power and his enemy's wife. Of course, as her older sister's substitute, Ye Zhen naturally didn't have any good days left once Liu Beichuan found out about the truth. The villain used her as substitute for her older sister to vent his frustrations and resentment. Because of the resentment that had accumulated over the years, Ye Zhen repeatedly flaunted her status as Liu Beichuan's wife in front of her older sister. Later on, she gave birth to Liu Beichuan's son. Of course, because the son grew up in such an environment, his morals weren't very good. Father and son colluded together to do plenty of deceitful, sinister, and crafty schemes. Their high intellect was solely used to commit crimes. For a long time, they amused themselves by tormenting the male lead. However, a villain's fate couldn't be avoided, and the family eventually suffered the consequences of their actions. After the villain suffered crushing defeat in the hands of the male lead, Ye Zhen, who was the villain's wife, naturally wouldn't be to escape the law's pursuit. She spent the rest of her life in jail. The novel's Ye Zhen was Ye Zhen, and she was herself. They were two different people. Although she was Liu Beichuan's wife, he was comatose right now. The immense sea allowed the fish to leap freely. The vast sky allowed the birds to fly freely. As long as she figured out a way to leave Liu family within 1 month, she would be free. After that, she could live out the rest of her life happily. As for what would happen to Ye family after she left, why should she care? If they had ability, they should go find Ye Qing and bring her back. The knocking on the other side of the door interrupted her train of thought. "Good morning, Miss Ye." An old butler who had been serving the Liu family for many years was respectfully standing right outside the door. A small cart was pushed inside. There were all sorts of tools that were used to clean Liu Beichuan on the cart. The Liu family had a long history. Not only did their ancestors leave behind an enormous fortune, they also left behind old-fashioned and pedantic rules. She was Liu Beichuan's wife, so when she woke up every day, her first duty was to clean her husband's body. Ye Zhen accepted the towel from the butler and dampened it in the basin of warm water. Then she pushed aside the quilt that was covering Liu Beichuan. She untied the top part of his pajamas and wiped his arms, shoulders, abdomen, and other areas. This task had to be done every day, but the Liu family insisted that only she could do it. In the past, a professional caretaker would come to wipe and wash Liu Beichuan's body. However, after Ye Zhen married into the Liu family, they repeatedly told her that only she could have intimate skin contact with Liu Beichuan's body. What year did they think they were in? Why did they still observe so many rotten ideas from the feudal era? Under the butler's attentive eyes, Ye Zhen truly didn't have any leeway for laziness. She was extremely careful and conscientious as she wiped Liu Beichuan's body. She cleaned his body like she was cleaning a piece of art. When she first came here, her entire face would flush, and she had no idea what to do. But now she remained calm, and her expression didn't even change when she did this task. It was all thanks to her hard work in looking at so many naked Greek statues. Moreover, Liu Beichuan's body wasn't any worse than those statues. Ye Zhen turned around, washed the towel in the warm water, and wrung it mostly dry. Then she softly wiped Liu Beichuan's cheek. The silhouette of his facial features was distinct and deep. This man's appearance was simply flawlessly handsome. She just didn't know what his eyes would like once he opened them. Would it look the eyes in last night's dream? Brooding and deeply cold. Using the towel, she cleaned Liu Beichuan's ear. When she gently pinched his earlobe, she suddenly saw Liu Beichuan's eyelids moving and could clearly see his eyeballs moving underneath his eyelids. It looked as if he was going to open his eyes in the next second. Zhen noticed this, but she still nonchalantly continued cleaning his ear. In the beginning, Zhen thought Liu Beichuan was really about to wake up, but the family's doctor told her it was a normal nerve reflex for his fingers as well as eyes to twitch occasionally. When she thought about it, the doctor's words made sense. In the novel, Liu Beichuan wouldn't wake up for another month. It wasn't time yet. After she finished cleaning him, Zhen warmed up lotion in her hands. Then her warm palms rubbed the lotion all over Liu Beichuan's body. Zhen saw that Liu Beichuan's pinky finger on his right side was roused. It was strange. Although other people that were comatose for a year hadn't deteriorated to the level of being emaciated, their physical condition wasn't good. No matter what, the state of their bodies weren't as well preserved as Liu Beichuan's. After the cleaning and moisturizing was done, Zhen was so tired that she couldn't even keep her back straight. She put Liu Beichuan's clothes back on and pulled up the quilt. The 60-plus-year-old butler, who had served the Liu family his entire life, respectfully said to Zhen, "You've worked hard." Zhen docilely smiled. She didn't say anything and went into the bathroom to wash up. Right after she entered the bathroom, a specialized doctor and nurse came into the room to check Liu Beichuan, as well as using medical tools to feed him. This procedure wasn't within the scope of Zhen's abilities. After washing up, Zhen glanced at him from a distance, then she went downstairs. In the dining room, Liu Beichuan's parents as well as young man were sitting at the dining table. The head seat wasn't empty. Old Master Liu hadn't come. "Dad, Mom, good morning." Father Liu glanced at Zhen and nodded. Zhen looked at the empty head seat and casually asked, "Where's grandfather?" Old Master went back to the ancestral home for a few days. "How is Beichuan today?" Mother Liu was neatly dressed with exquisitely done makeup. It was absolutely impossible to guess her real age. Presenting a magnificent appearance was Mrs. Liu's last way of maintaining her status as the legitimate wife in front of the illegitimate son. To maintain her surface appearance of being someone that was inarticulate and mediocre, Zhen lowered her head slightly and said, "Everything is still good." Mother Liu put down her bowl and chopsticks. In a worried tone, she said, "You have to do your best and be more thoughtful." Mother Liu hadn't been happy with her son's marriage to begin with. Beichuan and Yeqing were mismatched in social status, and her son's wife was also timid and cowardly. She was someone that didn't have her own opinions. If it wasn't because Old Master Liu had said this marriage would bring her son good luck, she would have never agreed to this marriage. Moreover, these two had already been married for months, but Beichuan was still unconscious. It was obvious that this good luck marriage wasn't effective at all. Father Liu's eyebrows furrowed. "Enough, it's so early in the day. Isn't the doctor upstairs and checking on him right now?" Mother Liu was silent for a moment. She lowered her voice as she spoke to her daughter-in-law. "Yeqing, you need to remember all of Beichuan's matters, regardless of their importance. If any issue comes up, you have to immediately inform the doctor and me. You should also learn more about medical massage techniques from the professional caretaker. Sooner or later, Beichuan will wake up. If you massaged him more often, it'll help with his future recovery period." Zhen had already lost count the number of times that Mother Liu had said these type of words to her. These words went in one ear and went out the other. "Okay, I'll remember. Let's eat first." Father Liu glanced at Mother Liu, then he gestured for Zhen to sit down. Zhen sat down next to Mother Liu. The young man across the table looked at her with an enigmatic smile. This improper young man had shifty eyes and a face that was displeasing to look at. Liu Beichuan's father, Liu Shaoran, wasn't a good person. He had a wife at home and fooled around with other women. He had plenty of illegitimate sons that were eager to climb up in social status. But with a legitimate son like Liu Beichuan and a father like Old Master Liu, Lu Shaoren hadn't dared to actually bring these sons home. A year ago, Lu Beichuan had been in a car accident. The hospital had sent a written notice that Lu Beichuan was critically injured. Although Lu Beichuan's life was saved, his mother almost died from the shock of hearing this news. Later on, when Lu Beichuan was diagnosed as a comatose person by the doctors, Father Lu brought home an illegitimate son he had with a lover, which was the young man sitting across from her today, Lu Beifan. From Lu Beifan's perspective, his half-brother was unconscious. A family as influential as the Lu family needed a successor to take on the heavy responsibilities. He thought that old Master Lu could only turn a blind eye and accept him as a substitute. However, based on his appearance, temperament, and general ineptness, he was merely a self-deluded fool. Being acknowledged as the Lu family's second young master wasn't the same as becoming its successor. Since Ye Zhen had married into this family, those narrow eyes hadn't looked away from Ye Zhen's body. He lusted after the beautiful Ye Zhen. Once, right in front of Lu Beichuan's bed, Lu Beifan had even forcibly hugged Ye Zhen and called her unseemly endearments like sweetheart. Fortunately, Lu Beichuan was comatose and couldn't feel or hear anything. Otherwise, if he had witnessed his wife and half-brother acting out this erotic scene so freely before him, he would have been angered to death. However, in the novel, after Lu Beichuan woke up, this second young master's ending was quite awful. With Lu Beifan's limited intelligence, he simply wasn't a match for the ruthless villain. As a servant was bringing over Ye Zhen's breakfast, the servant heard Father Lu saying, "I've given you 2 months to familiarize yourself with the company's business. You should be done with that task by now. After breakfast, come with me to the company." Obviously, these words were said to Lu Beifan. Lu Beifan beamed with joy. Being able to go to the company with Lu Shaoren meant that he was officially being recognized as his son, as well as an acknowledgement that he was being trained to become the company's successor. He suppressed his excitement. "Okay, Dad." From her peripheral vision, Ye Zhen saw that Mother Lu was trembling, but trying her best to repress her reaction. Ye Zhen lowered her eyes. During such a public scene, Mother Lu had to be magnanimous. She had to show understanding and be considerate of Lu family's needs. More importantly, she had to uphold her husband's dignity. Unlike a woman from a normal family, she couldn't quarrel with her husband in front of her daughter-in-law and her husband's illegitimate son. A wealthy and powerful family had many problems. Right now, Lu Beifan was immeasurably self-satisfied. But once Lu Beichuan woke up, not just Lu Beifan, even Lu Shaoren wouldn't be able to keep a foothold in the Lu family. On the dining table, the surface appearance was calm and tranquil. However, the situation underneath the table was getting worse. Lu Beifan, who was sitting across from Ye Zhen, had stretched his foot out until he was touching Ye Zhen's thigh. From Lu Beifan's perspective, his gorgeous sister-in-law was married to a comatose person, so she might as well be a widow. What a horrible waste. There was no way that his older brother, who had received unjust advantages, was going to get better. Rather than letting his sister-in-law go to waste, he should get a taste of her. Anyways, the entire Lu family would become his in the future. During the past few days, his formerly shy and timid sister-in-law had suddenly transformed into a cold, elegant lady. It felt awful having to suppress his urges. Ye Zhen put down her soup spoon and looked at Lu Beifan with a smile. "Excuse me, my leg accidentally ended up underneath your foot. Can you please move your foot off my thigh?" Lu Beifan was an archetypal example of a sex-crazed idiot. Whether it was his appearance, education, ability, or status, none of it was presentable. He had perfectly inherited the trait that defined Father Lu, naturally lecherous. During the past few days, Ye Zhen had already felt disgusted enough being leered at by Lu Beifan's beady eyes. She had chosen to ignore him, and he had taken it as an invitation to act worse. He even dared to touch her now under the cover of the table. She merely wanted to live a peaceful life. She was planning on quietly leaving the Lu family once she finished making her arrangements. However, she hadn't expected that just any stray creature would bully her. Right after Ye Zhen said these words, the mood in the dining room abruptly changed. It felt as if the formerly tensed atmosphere had touched a high-voltage power line. The servant standing on the side didn't even dare to breathe too loudly. After Mother Lu flung down a bowl and ladle, Lu Beifan hastily drew his foot back from Ye Zhen's thigh. Lu Beifan racked his brains and pretended to be confused. "Sister-in-law, sorry, that was an accident." Ye Zhen smiled. "That's okay." These people were the elite. Although no one saw what had happened underneath the table, everyone had seen both of Lu Beifan's overtly and covertly suggestive behavior and his heated, leering stares towards Ye Zhen during the past several days. It was obvious to everyone. Lu Beifan was the son he had with his favorite lover, so Father Lu had to help him out of this awkward situation. Picking up a towel that a servant brought over, he looked at Lu Beifan and said, "All right, it's time to go to the office." Secure in the knowledge that he had a backer, Lu Beifan glanced at Ye Zhen with a gaze that showed he was immensely pleased of himself. He ignored Father Lu's warning gaze as if it was his right. Ye Zhen secretly laughed. Although his older brother wasn't dead, he thought that he was the Lu family's only choice for a successor. He lusted after his sister-in-law and already planned on taking his comatose brother's wife. But he had failed to consider that the Lu family wasn't lacking in descendants. He was absolutely lacking in restraint. Ye Zhen didn't find it strange that his ending would be very miserable. He was such an idiot. Ye Zhen thought it was reasonably to believe that even if Lu Beichuan didn't wake up, this person still wouldn't have a good ending. Once the male lead appeared, this stupid person might trigger his own death. Lu Beifan got up and politely followed after Lu Shaoran as they exited the house. Right after Lu Shaoran and Lu Beifan left, Mother Lu smashed the tableware in front of her into pieces and resentfully looked towards the direction of the main door. Ye Zhen remained sitting at the dining table. Unperturbed, she slowly finished eating breakfast. Gratitude and grudges, rich and powerful families, the struggles over the right of inheritance, none of this had anything to do with her. Once she put everything to order, she would conveniently leave this place. Anyways, it was Ye Qing that married Lu Beichuan, not Ye Zhen. After breakfast, Ye Zhen went upstairs to serve her comatose husband as usual. At this time, the doctor's daily routine inspection had concluded. Mother Lu had specially invited over a famous brain specialist from abroad to examine her son. The doctor's name was William, and he was an American citizen with Chinese ancestry. He wore glasses and had a refined, attractively delicate appearance. He had a scholar's elegant aura. He was considered a promising young person in the medical profession field. Ye Zhen showed a concerned expression. "Doctor, my husband, how's his situation?" William sighed. His expression looked grave. He fluently answered her in standard Mandarin. "His condition hasn't changed, but don't be discouraged. With effort, anything can happen. When you have time, massage him more. This will help prevent muscle atrophy. When he wakes up, he'll be able to recover faster. Also, he should get more sunlight. That will be beneficial to his body." "Okay, thank you, doctor." "Sure, no problem." Original translation is from fuyuneco.org. If you're reading this elsewhere, this chapter has been stolen. Please stop supporting theft. After the doctor, as well as the group of nurses left, Ye Zhen sat down on the bed and started to massage Lu Beichuan using the techniques she had learned from the massage therapist. Using a worried and depressed tone, she said, "Do you know that someone harassed your wife today? Your awful younger brother stretched his foot all the way to the top of my thigh during breakfast." When I was reading the novel, Ye Zhen hesitated and changed her wording. "I heard from other people that you used to be very powerful. How come you've fallen to the point that your wife is being bullied by other people?" Ye Zhen looked at Lu Beichuan's defined, lean jawline and thought of all the wicked actions that Lu Beichuan had taken in the novel. "I'm 22 years old. I've never been in a relationship or lived for myself before. I don't even know how it happened, really, but I took my older sister's place in marrying you to bring you good luck. I do my best to serve you, but look, there's no place for me in this family." She sighed. "So I've decided. I'll leave this place in 2 days. Don't blame me. Your dad and mom don't like me. Your brother gropes me. I really can't stay in the Lu family any longer." Ye Zhen almost felt moved by her own tearful performance. In the darkness of evening, just as Ye Zhen rubbed her sore arms and was about to go downstairs, she heard a noise from outside the room. Lu Beifan staggered as he pushed open the door, and the smell of alcohol collided right into her. Zhen reflexively frowned and tried to hold her breath. Just as she was going to call out for help, she looked at Lu Beifan's lustful eyes, and an idea popped up. She sat back down on the side of Lu Beichuan's bed. Lu Beifan had obviously drunk too much. He couldn't even keep his balance while standing. His cheeks had an abnormal flush to them. Belching, he looked at Zhen from the side with a gaze fogged up by alcohol consumption. "Sister-in-law, my older brother, how is he today?" Zhen quietly said, "Same as before." "Same," Lu Beifan murmured. Then he happily smiled and started to say words that only a scoundrel would say. "Sister-in-law, what happened to you? Why have you been ignoring me during the past few days?" Zhen had transmigrated here at the wrong time. When she came here, Zhen had already been sneaking around with Lu Beifan. Zhen hadn't been willing to yield to her fate. She had felt aggrieved by her mother-in-law that willfully made things difficult for her. Lu Beifan had lingered around her with his gentle smiles. After he had made a few passes, it didn't take long for Zhen to fall deeply in love with his gentle act. "I have to take of your older brother." Zhen raised her eyes to look at Lu Beifan and seriously said, "I carefully thought about it. Since I married your older brother, that means I'm your brother's wife, your sister-in-law. Treat me with the proper respect." "Respect?" Lu Beifan seemed if he had heard something extremely hilarious. "Sister-in-law, the doctor has already said that my older brother won't get better. He's not going to wake up. You're a beautiful young woman. Won't you feel wronged having to accompany a comatose person for the rest of your life?" Zhen couldn't stand to look at Lu Beifan's disgusting face and his vile conduct. She indifferently said, "Why would I feel wronged? I know that sister-in-law is still young and doesn't know about the pleasures of the body yet. But sister-in-law, I can guarantee that once you experience that type of pleasure, you'll understand why you should feel wronged by having to watch over a comatose person for the rest of your life." Zhen had lowered her head. She was focused on massaging Lu Beichuan and didn't seem to take Lu Beifan's words to heart. Perhaps it was because the window was open. A sweet fragrance wafted over. This scene was different from the fragrance of expensive perfume and skincare products. This was a delicate fragrance that only came from a woman's body. Lu Beifan instinctively enjoyed the fragrance. He took a deep breath and seemed intoxicated on the scent. "I'm the Lu family's successor. In the future, everything in the Lu family will belong to me, including you. Whatever you want, I'll give it to you as long as you obediently follow me." Zhen continued to stay silent. Lu Beifan was standing behind Zhen. He looked at this beautiful woman's back figure, her thin waist, her long black hair that was swept over one shoulder, and her fine, graceful swan-like neck that was mesmerizingly curved. What a pity for such a beautiful woman to be a widow. The fragrance saturated the air. The tipsy man's mouth and tongue felt dry. He was drunk on the sweet fragrance and the sight of the beautiful woman. Lu Beifan went forward, gently placed his hand on Zhen's thin shoulder, and kneaded her smooth skin. His intention didn't need to be vocalized to be known. In an ambiguous tone, he said, "Sister-in-law, don't worry. As long as we're quiet, no one will know." Zhen didn't react to Lu Beifan's probing touch, so his courage grew, and he hugged her from behind. The fragrance drifted into his nose. A man was more easily excitable when he was drunk. The sister-in-law that he had lusted for a long time was finally in his arms. It felt as if all the blood in his body was boiling as it uniformly gushed up to his head. In a flash, his face was flushed, and he lost his ability to reason. Just as Lu Beifan was filled with secret delight, Zhen's brow became tightly furrowed. Her eyes were full of derision. Her words were said in very flat tone, but under this type of circumstances, everyone would only think that Zhen was faking her calmness. "Lu Beifan, let go of me." Lu Beifan had always been a disgraceful scoundrel and didn't take Zhen's words seriously. Instead, he hugged her even tighter. "Sister-in-law, don't be afraid. Older brother is probably never going to wake up. Rather than watch over this comatose person, you should follow me. Once I take over the position of managing the company, the entire Lu family will become mine. When that time comes, I'll kick all of them out. No one will be able to speak badly of you. I'll let you become my wife, okay? I'll say it one more time. Let go of me. Sister-in-law, why are you being so obstinate? If you follow me, I can give you everything. What's the point in staying with a comatose person? Lu Beifan took a few rough breaths. Yiqing, sweetheart, be with me. Be with me, okay? I can give you anything. I can even give you my life. A voice mockingly whispered by Lu Beifan's ear. You can even give me your life? Really? At the same time these words were said, an extremely furious voice traveled into the room. Bastard! Startled, Lu Beifan let go of her. There was an old man standing in the doorway and leaning on his cane for support. He was wearing traditional Chinese clothing, and his hair was meticulously brushed back. His piercing eyes looked as if he was going to kill someone. Although he was advanced in age, Old Master Lu was someone that had weathered through major upheavals. When he was furious, he wasn't someone that Lu Beifan, a hedonistic second generation, could handle. As soon as Lu Beifan saw him, his legs felt weak. Gee, grandfather, let me explain. It's not what it seems. It's sister-in-law. She's the one that's trying to seduce me. Old Master Lu harshly knocked his cane against the floor. He severely said, "Drag this bastard out." Two bodyguards that had been standing in the hallway came forward. They each grabbed one of Lu Beifan's arms and forcefully dragged him out of the room. The villa was flooded with the sound of Lu Beifan's miserable wails. "Grandfather, I haven't done anything." Zhen looked at Old Master Lu. Her gaze was firm. She met Old Master Lu's eyes without any hint of timidity, but her body was trembling involuntarily. Old Master Lu sighed. Although he had been away in the ancestral home during the past period, he had heard about Lu Beifan's vile conduct. He understood that this young woman didn't have anyone to rely on. Even when she was being humiliated and wronged, she could only stay silent. "Don't be afraid. Grandfather knows that this has nothing to do with you. The fault lies entirely on that shameless creature, Lu Beifan. Don't worry. Grandfather will definitely right this wrong for you." Zhen was silent for a long time before finally nodding. Old Master Lu glanced at Lu Beichuan, who was still unconscious, and let out a deep sigh. "Take good care of Beichuan. Don't worry, the Lu family won't mistreat you." Zhen quietly answered, "En." Gripping his cane, Old Master Lu turned around and left. Zhen sat back down again. If Lu Beifan had left her alone, she wouldn't have bothered with crushing him. Lu Beifan was an idiot. He flaunted the fact that he had entered the Lu family and acted without restraint. He thought that he was above everyone else just because Lu Shaoran accepted him. However, Lu Shaoran had someone above him, a father that was in charge of everything. Old Master Lu didn't care that Lu Shaoran thought highly of this bastard son. What Old Master Lu cared about was having a qualified successor to carry on the Lu family's enterprise. Moreover, Old Master Lu had set down the Lu family's pedantic rules. Could a person that cared so much about rules and propriety allow a disgraceful matter like a brother-in-law lusting after his sister-in-law to exist? Zhen looked at the person on the bed and smiled. "Lu Beichuan, I got rid of one of your rivals today. Even though it was only squishing an ant, it was still my finger that did the hard work." Lu Beichuan's eyelids fluttered. The eyeballs underneath his eyelids moved. It looked as if he was going to open his eyes. However, his eyes returned to serenity in the next moment instead. In the villa's living room, Lu Beifan was currently kneeling in front of Old Master Lu and had almost lost his voice from crying in pain. He said that he had only touched Yiqing because he drank too much and momentarily lost his conscience because of her seduction. He pleaded with the Old Master Lu to give him another chance. Old Master Lu was sitting in the head seat with both of his hands resting over his cane. He expressionlessly cast a glance over Lu Shaoran's face and furiously said, "Shaoran, this is your son. Discipline him yourself." In the novel, Lu Beifan's mother was Lu Shaoran's true love. The words true love were somewhat interesting. Usually, these two words were accompanied by an exceedingly bittersweet love story. Unfortunately, for someone like Lu Shaoran, who had countless lovers, the words true love was too cheaply used. Lu Shaoran probably did have some feelings for Lu Beifan's mother. Otherwise, he wouldn't have only brought back Lu Beifan, even though he had plenty of other illegitimate children. However, in front of Old Master Lu, who was in a position of power, a thing like true love was nonsense. A son understood his father the best. Lu Shaoren knew that Lu Beifan had stepped on old Master Lu's bottom line. For a younger brother to be caught red-handed with lusting after his sister-in-law while his older brother was unconscious, their family's reputation would be gone if other people found out. Knowing that old Master Lu's sore spot had been touched, Lu Shaoren promptly abandoned his son. "Dad, don't worry, I'll properly handle this matter." Lu Beifan crawled over to Lu Shaoren. Sniveling uncontrollably, he said, "Believe me, it really wasn't me. It was sister-in-law. She came on to me. Otherwise, how could I do something so heinous?" Right after these words were said, Mother Lu finally had an excuse to let out the anger that had been accumulating for a month. She harshly slapped Lu Beifan. "Came on to you? Since Yeqing has joined this family, she's shown that she knows her place and spent her time taking care of Beichuan. She's such an honest young woman, and you still want to pour dirty water on her?" Lu Beifan was slapped senseless. It was easy to see the red palm imprint on his right cheek swelling up. He really cut an unsightly poor figure from the combination of the swollen cheek and his tearful face. Yeqing is Ye family's daughter. She's a respectable young lady. Do you think everyone ignores the rules of right and wrong like you? After saying this, Mother Lu turned her head to face old Master Lu and said, "Dad, you have to give Yeqing justice. That child is too honest. Although I'm her mother-in-law, she's too timid and doesn't complain to me about anything. Every time I see her sitting on Beichuan's bed and massaging him all day, my heart. She's our Lu family's daughter-in-law. You can't let her suffer this grievance." Mother Lu didn't like Yeqing because she was inarticulate, gullible, and cowardly. She had been caring for Lu Beichuan for so long, but Lu Beichuan still hadn't woken up. Still, it was only dislike. Towards Lu Beifan, who was wrongfully trying to usurp her sons from his position as the Lu family's successor, she wanted to get rid of him as quickly as possible. Lu Beifan was still floundering around trying to save himself. "Grandfather, tell sister-in-law to come down here so I can confront her. If she didn't come on to me, I wouldn't have dared to do anything." He clearly knew that this blame had to be pushed onto Yeqing. It hadn't been easy to enter the Lu family. If he was driven out of here, he would have nothing. "Confront her?" Old Master Lu sneered. He suddenly stood up. "You're something that shouldn't even be seen in polite company, and you want to confront the Lu family's daughter-in-law?" Old Master Lu looked at Lu Shaoren and said, "I know that you have plenty of sons outside, and I won't bother with micromanaging you. But in the future, I don't want to see this creature in this home. I don't want to see him outside passing himself off as a member of the Lu family and going about swaggering around and swindling other people." Lu Shaoren repeatedly agreed. He ordered the guards to drag the kneeling Lu Beifan, who was continuously vowing to repent and crying out that he was wrongfully accused, out of the villa. But old Master Lu handed over material that was on the side table to Lu Shaoren. "Beichuan is still unconscious, and we don't know when he'll wake up. It's better to plan ahead." Lu Shaoren took the packet of information. Inside the packet, there was detailed information about a youth. The blurry photo couldn't suppress the hidden sharp intelligence and talent in the youth's brows and eyes. He carefully thought it over. Wasn't this youth the stubborn child that wouldn't call him dad even when he had beaten him with a belt? Time had passed by so quickly. This child had already grown up. After Lu Beifan was kicked out the Lu family, old Master Lu and Mother Lu came to see her a few times. As usual, old Master Lu sought her out to say a few comforting words. He told her to be at ease and to not let this incident cast a shadow on her heart. He told her to continue properly caring for Beichuan. The Lu family wouldn't treat her unfairly. As for Mother Lu, her former misgivings towards her daughter-in-law had been dispelled. In a great mood, she would come by and hold Zhen's hand as she inquired after her welfare. Not only did she buy her many expensive skincare products and clothes, she acted as if they were very close and didn't have any ill feelings between them. She even promised that if something came up in the future, she could ask her for help. All of these words were said in hopes that Zhen would turn big problems into small ones and small problems into no problems at all. If word got out about this incident, it wouldn't be good for the Lu family's reputation. Although no one would dare to publicly bring up this matter, The rumors were getting worse. The red marks on Ye Zhen's neck were conclusive proof of Liu Beifan's crime. After returning to their room, Ye Zhen heard Liu Beichuan's caregivers gossiping by his bed. "Hey, did you see those red marks on Miss Ye's neck? How can I not see? He didn't even avoid such a conspicuous spot. It had to be done by second young master." "It can't be. Miss Ye is the second young master's sister-in-law." "So what if she's his sister-in-law? First young master is already in such a state. We don't even know if he's going to wake up. Mr. R. Liu has taken second young master to the company. That's covertly acknowledging second young master's position, which means the entire Liu family will belong to him. It takes two to tango. One hand can't make any noise by itself. Miss Ye is so beautiful. Is she really willing to watch over a comatose person? If this matter hadn't been discovered by old Master Liu." The following words didn't need to be said. "You mean, OMG, it can't be. Miss Ye doesn't seem like that type of person." "Doesn't seem like it? Isn't it very normal for this type of thing to happen in wealthy and powerful families? You can know a person for a long time without understanding her true nature." Ye Zhen stood outside the door and silently listened for a while. Feeling sleepy, she ended up yawning. She had that dream again last night. It seemed as if she had been dreaming all night too. When she woke up, she felt very tired. Her body ached as if it had been run over. Perhaps it was because the mattress was too soft. Once she pushed open the door, the conversation immediately came to a halt. The two caregivers looked at her and stiffly smiled. "Miss Ye, the two of you can leave. I'll take it from here." The two caregivers looked at each other. They didn't know if Miss Ye had heard their conversation. They would be dismissed from their duties if she heard them gossiping. "Okay." The two caregivers apprehensively left the room. Ye Zhen stood by the bed and looked at the unconscious Liu Beichuan. She wasn't able to hold back her impulse. She slapped him. The slap was neither too heavy nor too light. Very quickly, a mark appeared on his pale cheek. They said that one hand can't make any noise. Listen, didn't I just make a sound with one hand? Ye Zhen patted Liu Beichuan's face. Her anger faded, and her mood improved a lot as she looked at the red palm-sized mark. I can only walk the path of a virtuous person in the Liu family. Your younger brother bullied me so badly, but I could only compromisingly agree to let the matter go. So what if he was kicked out of here? Is there anyone here that's not calling me a fickle woman? Since you can't wake up and right this wrong for me, you'll just have to suffer from me venting my anger out on you. Anyways, he was going to be a great villain. She would just treat this as attacking a public threat. Ye Zhen rubbed her left hand as she murmured, "Your skin is too thick. My hand hurts." However, she failed to notice that Liu Beichuan's right hand was clenched and the blue veins on the back of his hand was protruding. Her phone buzzed as 4 messages in a row were received. Ye Zhen tapped her phone to check her messages. A carefree smile appeared on her face.